topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ask the Experts. We have got an incredible show today. Today's show, our expert today, is one of those kind of shows that it's not the happiest of subjects, but we're going to turn that around because this company, this expert, is one of the finest tax relief experts in the United States. I am so glad we have them. Let me introduce you. Federal Tax Law Group. Good afternoon, Ryan.
Hey, how are you today?
And there she is.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Now, Rachel, go over there and play that piano for us. Come on, just a little song.
I don't know if you're ready for that expertise yet. Let's ease our way in there.
Oh, okay. I've seen that background before, is why he said that. Anyhow, welcome. This is your first show, right, Rachel?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So, first of all, Ryan, tell us about Federal Tax Law Group.
Okay, so at Federal Tax Law Group, we're a group of tax attorneys, enrolled agents, as well as preparers and consultants. So we help people that owe money to the IRS. So we specialize in getting clients into compliance, as well as negotiating on their behalf. So there's different programs through the IRS that we typically utilize to help get them back on track, whether it be a settlement, payment plan, penalty abatement, or hardship. And actually, Rachel's one of our head enrolled agent here, actually our resolution supervisor. So she'll be able to share a lot of knowledge with us today.
You know, Rachel, it's such a pain when you have the IRS on your back. And I know you know this. A lot of people take that envelope, put it in that secret drawer, and think it's going to go away, but it never goes away, does it?
No, it actually just gets worse when you do that.
So tell me, we keep hearing about all these new agents they've hired. You probably know more about tax relief than a lot of those agents do, aren't you?
That is correct. A lot of them coming in have minimal knowledge and then get thrown out on the floor. Whereas if you have a company that's, been doing this for quite some time, their strategies are actually, better than what the reps understand.
Well, Ryan, when you got the IRS after you, you've seen plenty of your clients to know it's a horrible feeling. But the great thing is, people can come to Federal Tax Law Group, and once they sign up with you, they don't have to talk to the IRS anymore, do they?
That's correct. Yeah, once we do file a power of attorney on their behalf, that does give our company the power to speak with them on their behalf. So it takes a lot of that communication away from the client, and now they're dealing with a professional. So they have us doing all the negotiating, all the speaking, and pretty much putting together all their documentation for their case to get them the best possible outcome.
It's funny, before the show, we just had somebody to contact us because they knew you were coming on today. and they wanted to know if you also represent business owners.
Yes, we do. So we represent individuals, business owners, and of all different calibers, whether it's sole proprietorships, LLCs, corporations, or anything of that sort.
Rachel, when people uh, try to work their problems out themselves and they talk to the IRS, they can really make things a lot worse, can't they?
They can, just because typically taxpayers aren't even 100% knowledgeable on what their taxpayer rights are when it comes to the Internal Revenue Service. And these IRS representatives know that. So they're not going to willingly give that information to the taxpayer when they're on the line. So it's best to hire a tax professional that is well equipped and well trained and knows those rights to stand up and defend them for you.
Because when they hire a federal tax law group, at least they've got more of a level playing field, right?
That is correct.
And these agents are very good at what they do, aren't they?
They are.
And let me tell you, one of the things that you have on people with tax problems is you can actually get a hold of the IRS when a lot of them can't.
And that is one of the things we hear from the clients, that they sit on hold for hours. They get a representative on the line that wants to transfer them to a non-existent unit. They drop their call, and I kind of think the system is designed that way to deter them from calling and being able to handle their case.
We had another call that came in, and was Ben. He said, "I don't know if I have a tax problem because I hear ads all the time that you have to have at least $10,000. Is that true with federal tax law group?"
Not necessarily. So we can help clients with all sorts of different tax debt sizes. So there's really not a certain threshold. If somebody has 2,000, 3,000, or they have unfiled returns, those are all situations that we can help them out with. So typically, as the case gets bigger or they owe more, then the case gets more complex, where you definitely want to go ahead and hire somebody. If somebody maybe owes a couple hundred or $500, does it merit hiring an attorney or a tax professional? Maybe not, since it's so small, but I think that's why you hear a lot of the companies advertising $10,000 or more, because it creates a certain threshold. But the reality is anybody can get help. It doesn't really limit you by the tax debt amount.
What I love about your company is you have so many ways to help people out. Everybody's situation is different, so you can't just have one thing that's going to solve everyone's problems. And I think it's incredible that you have so many different elements that you can use to help people get out of the situation they're in. And I want to say something, and some people are very embarrassed that they haven't paid their taxes, and you do not look down on them, do you?
You want to answer that, Rachel?
No, as a matter of fact, we do the opposite. We're here to listen to their struggle. We're here to nurture them along the way, and most importantly, educate them along the way, because we want to find cause and cure. Yes, it's embarrassing that they owe. Yes, it's embarrassing that they kind of put it on the back burner. But our ultimate goal is to, resolve the problem that's lingering over the head, and then get them lined up on the right track moving forward, so that this is not something that they even have to face anymore.
Just got a text. This is from someone who's watching now, Robin. What is an enrolled agent?
So an enrolled agent is someone who is licensed through the IRS to represent taxpayers as a power of attorney. In order to be a power of attorney in the eyes of the IRS, you must either be a CPA, a tax attorney, or an enrolled agent. Any one of these people that hold a license will be able to handle your tax account on a power of attorney form.
Walk me through when someone comes to your office, and I guess, can you also do business through, I guess, the tele screen, that they don't have to come to your office? You can do it right on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can do it either via Zoom or via telephone. I'd say a lot of our clients, we do help clients throughout the entire country. Most of our clients are via the telephone, email. They send us all the documents that we need. A lot of the documents they can e-sign and that sort of thing. So it makes it very easy nowadays for clients to get the help that they need. And you don't necessarily need to travel a long way to get great service. They can do it there via the phone, email, or if we do Zoom or screen shares, anything of that nature, we have that available to us. So that's the nice thing about the technology that's available now.
Rachel, um, when people get these letters from the IRS and they tell them how much they owe, the IRS has no idea what their write-offs are, do they? So when they give you a gross amount owed, they haven't figured in what your write-offs are. And so sometimes it might not be near as high as people think it is.
Yes, if a taxpayer fails to file a tax return, then the IRS will go in and they will file a tax return on their behalf. And that's exactly what you're talking about. It's called a substitute for return. And what the IRS does is takes the income that's reported, and that could be 1099 income that doesn't have taxes withheld, that is someone who is a self-employed individual and has the opportunity for numerous expenses and write-offs to be deducted from that income. However, the IRS will not plug them in. They will take the income and tax you at the highest rate with no deductions and generate a high tax bill to begin collecting on it.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of the returns you see that they end up owing a lot less after you? I know you've got to put their taxes together for them, don't you?
That is correct. We would want to obtain all of their expenses, their deductions, any um, receipts and information that they have saved up for the year that would reduce that tax liability. And 100% of the time when we go in and obtain the necessary documents and file that tax return, we see a significant reduction in the balance due. If not, there's been a handful of clients that were actually owed a refund at the end of the process.
Ryan, this is for you. Tell people why, if they're having a tax problem, whether it's personal or if it's business, why should they contact you?
Well, here at Federal Tax Law Group, we do a very thorough analysis of each case. We really care and we want to pair each individual with the best possible professional that's going to get them the best result. So we take the time to really dig into their case and look at all different angles and options that the client may have instead of just slapping them into whatever is the easiest program. We really want to explore each of the options that they have available to them to put them in the best situation at the end of the day.
Now, Rachel, can the IRS, can they collect from you forever?
No, there is what's called a collection statute expiration date. And what that means is from the day that the tax return was filed, or if the IRS files for you, they have a 10-year window to collect upon that date. or on that balance. I'm sorry. Now, there are numerous instances where that date can be extended, such as certain programs that they enter into while it's under review. It can extend that date. Filing bankruptcy can extend that date. But overall, they have only 10 years to collect on that balance.
What about bankruptcy? Does bankruptcy take care of back taxes at all?
The best would be to consult with a bankruptcy attorney, because I know there are some rules and regulations behind that, and a percentage can be repaid with like a payment plan. I'm not 100% sure, because when bankruptcy is filed on a client's account, the IRS stops collection action until the bankruptcy is resolved in the court. So that's why that collection expiration date is frozen and then added to the end of the 10-year period, because they kind of freeze collection and any further actions until the bankruptcy is resolved in court.
Rachel, I bet you see a lot of cases that come to you that you say to yourself, I wish they would come to me a lot earlier, because a lot of times when people try to handle this themselves, they make it even worse, don't they?
They do. And I actually just had a case that I was dealing with before I jumped on. And, the taxpayer was direct contact with a revenue officer assigned to the case, made promises to produce paperwork and to produce tax returns that he never did. And the case got worse. And now, that his bank account is levied, he's looking for the help through our company, which we, jumped on the case immediately. We can provide great results to him, but that's just the thing. I wish he would have came to us in January instead of trying to handle it on his own, because all of it could have been avoided.
And they need to be honest when they come to see you, don't they?
And that is one of the biggest things I tell these clients. You must be transparent with us. It is us as the tax professionals who decide what needs to be remitted to the Internal Revenue Service. Not everything that you tell us is going to go to them. It's up to us to make that educated, decision on what the IRS needs and what they don't need. But if you're not transparent with us, then there's things that the IRS could rebuttal us on that we had no idea about. And that doesn't make a good situation either.
Have you noticed the difference in the attitude of the new agents that are coming in now versus, say, 2-3 years ago?
Yes. They're trained to destroy, in my opinion. They're very
That's a good word.
It is a great word, because they're very structured to aggressive collections. Even 2-3
And they're
years
very
ago,
good
which
at
I
it
have
too,
been
aren't
doing
they?
this. They're very good, because if you have one red button to press, they're pressing that red button all day, and there's no wiggle room, because that's how they were trained. Press the red button. So
It's a very scary situation. And with this show, I kind of want to scare you, because I don't want you putting that envelope in the drawer, because I know you see so many people who ignore this for a while, thinking it's going to go away, but it doesn't. And from everything I've heard, these agents are more aggressive now than ever before. They want their money. And I pity the person that tries to handle this themselves without having a company like Federal Tax work with them, because you know all the ins and outs.
Correct.
So let me ask you now, does the IRS report a person to the state for tax collections?
yes, so when there is a liability present with the IRS, they will refer or alert the state to obtain a refund that they may be due for the state. And if the balance goes over a certain threshold, they will also refer it to the state to revoke or deny their passport.
I hear this hardship deferral. What is that?
So typically a hardship deferral is what we would call a currently non-collectible status. And through extensive financial review and then submittal to the IRS, if they determine that they are in a hardship status, they will close the case out of the collections inventory and keep it in good standings, but the taxpayer will be required to pay $0 a month. So essentially,
Wow.
that collection date that we were talking about for 10 years, there could be 2 or 3 years that you sit in this hardship deferral and ultimately buy time of that collection date with paying essentially zero back to the IRS.
Well, for those of you who've been watching on TV, we have been scrolling the number and the website. Tell people who are listening on radio and podcast, just give them your phone number and your website address.
Sure. So our toll-free number here is 800-881-7659. And then our website, if you want to get a little bit more information on the company and the programs available, it's www.federaltaxlawgroup.com.
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, this show goes so fast. I've got about another 50 questions. This is one of those shows that could be easily an hour-long show, but we're going to have Federal Tax Law Group back with us again next month. And if you'd like to send your questions in, you can send them into 954-336-3767. I promise you we'll get your questions on the air. Let's give Ryan, let's give everybody the phone number one more time.
Absolutely. It's 1-800-881-7659. And again, our website's www.federaltaxlawgroup.com.
And folks, please, first of all, we appreciate you tuning in, but please don't try to handle this yourself. Give Federal Tax Law Group a call, and I guarantee you they're going to help you. Ryan, thank you so much, you and Rachel. Rachel, you did great. You didn't play the piano for us, but you did well.
Stay tuned. That'll be next time.
Yes. Okay. Thanks so much. And
Thank you.
We're going to be going to our next show. We're going to be waiting for Dr. Gamboa about losing weight. Right, Rebel, is Dr. Gamboa on the line yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, let me just give a little preview. Dr. Gamboa is going to be talking about weight loss today. She is an incredible doctor out of the Dallas area. And we like to talk about weight loss with her. And we're going to be talking about, it now has a name. It's called the skinny injection. And folks, I got to tell you, and I don't care about admitting it, I am doing the same injection myself. I started on it about 3 months ago, and I have lost about 25 pounds. And it is the most amazing injection. And I even hate calling it an injection because I hate needles. I cannot stand needles. And you do not even feel this needle. It is so small. I'm going to tell you how easy it is. I have to look down because you take it in your stomach, and I have to look down to make sure the needle is inside of me because you literally do not feel it. So that's one of the topics. Sometimes Dr. Gamboa gets caught with patients, and she runs a little late, but it's pretty easy for me to fill in for a while for her because I'm actually doing Ozempic. And I know some of you have thought about doing it. It's a little pricey. If you have diabetes or problems with your kidneys, insurance will cover it. But I think the price is going to come down a lot because there's so many people who are on it now. And the reason why so many people are doing this skinny injection is they're having such great success with it. I used to go to like a GNC, and you would tell them that you're trying to lose weight and you want a supplement for it, and they just hand you a supplement. Now think about it. Everybody's body is different. How could one supplement be good for everybody? And I would always be so excited about, oh, I'm going to lose weight from this. It's going to curb my appetite. I got to tell you, none of them worked. None of them ever worked. This is the first time that I've ever done. You can cut your eating back, but that's hard to maintain. If you've ever gone on a food diet, it's
Dr. Gamboa is here.
extremely hard. Is Dr.
Gamboa
Gamboa on?
Yes.
Okay, let's bring her on because she can do a better job than I can with this. Hi, Dr. Gamboa.
Hi, Steve. How are you? Sorry, I was a little. I think I needed to restart my computer. I don't know what was going on. My mic and my camera were not syncing.
Well, I had a better excuse for you. I said she's got a office full of patients, and she's never going to turn down a patient. But you're here, and that's all that matters.
Thank you.
Dr.
How are
Gamboa,
you?
I'm doing fine. Lost a lot of weight, which
That's
we're going to
awesome.
talk
I'm
about.
so happy for you. Yes.
I know, and I'm just going to reassure you because I told my doctor the other day how much I've lost, and he almost was like disbelief. He said, "You do look like you've lost weight, but you've lost that much? Hey, you're the doctor. You're supposed to know about this and understand it." But first of all, you have such an incredible practice, Dr. Gamboa. Tell people about your practice.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, I have the Elite Care Clinic here in Las Colinas. We do weight loss, hormone replacement. Basically, I do wellness, and I also take care of all the chronic medical problems such as diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, and all in between.
One of the things I wanted to bring up is we are getting a lot of questions about peptides.
Yeah.
And can you explain peptides to us?
Sure. So what is a peptide? So a peptide, it is basically a chain of amino acids. The amino acids are the blocks for the proteins. So basically that's how they are. Proteins are a bunch of a bigger peptide. So that's how you can understand a little better and how these medications work. Because the peptides that we have in our stomach, then they are going to cause all these other effects, they are produced in our gut, and then they're going to help us with decrease or not decrease, but more moderate or modulate the insulin after whenever we eat. They're going to decrease our hunger hormone. They're going to increase our satiety. And those are the major effects. And then they can also work at the different levels, even at our brain. And it's amazing how this peptides work and these medications,
Dr. Gamboa, tell people the kind of patients that you work with. When they come to you, they're coming to you for what reason?
They can come to me to get established with a primary care doctor. And then from there, then they come to me to help them with their weight. Then, or they are coming to establish with me and then they want to talk about hormones, or because they are feeling tired, or they have high hypothyroidism, meaning their thyroid doesn't work well, and then but they still feel tired in spite of being on medication. So they come for me for so many reasons, like, or they want me to control their blood pressure or their diabetes. So we take care of everything. I try to be like a one-stop shop so they can have everything here, so they don't have to be going to endocrinology for this, to the cardiologist for that, for the other thing. So I try to manage as much as I can all of their chronic problems. And later on, if we tried everything, we did everything I could, and still like not able to control something, that's whenever I try to like refer them to a specialist and see if they can be helped better.
I had someone last show wanted to know if you accept Medicare.
I do accept Medicare patients, and so we have like plenty of those. We have the Medicare Advantage plans as well. So I accept most of the insurances, and some of them in the marketplace as well. There are very few that I am not in network with.
They also want to know if you're open on Saturdays.
I am, and like I'm
Oh,
scaling back a little bit. Yes, I know. I do. Like, I mean, I used to be open like 3 Saturdays a month, which it was like a little exhausting for me and for my staff. But now, like, I'm going to be open only 2 Saturdays a month. But still, I am open on Saturdays.
and you, a lot of people want to know about hormone replacement. Does it really work?
Well, hormone replacement is one of my passions because it's amazing how it helps you and all the benefits that you get. It's amazing how we don't realize how much hormones help for men and women. We used to think that only, for example, testosterone was for men and it was only for the sex hormone. But in reality, the testosterone is something that women like it helps us with everything. It's like the feel good hormone, it's like it gives you your energy, it helps you with your muscle, it helps you with your memory, with your energy, so with your bones, so many things that testosterone helps for both of us, because at the end, men and women, we have the same hormones, men, they have like this bit much of like testosterone and a little bit of estrogen, and women, we are the opposite. We have the mostly estrogen and a little bit of like testosterone, but at the end we share basically the same. It's the same hormones that we both have.
Are these topicals, these estrogen topicals, are they getting good?
I mean, they are good. Like, there's so many ways of like, what do you call it, like skin net cat, right? So we have so many different ways of hormone replacement. It depends on your preferences. It depends on your pocket. It depends on many things. So, for example, most of the hormones are not going to be covered by insurance. It depends on what we're replacing it for. Sometimes, if we're using some patches of estrogen, they may be covered by your insurance. If we're using compounded, they are for sure not covered by your insurance. If like we're using pellets, they're not covered by the insurance. So we try to always like whatever method you try to do, always try to be bioidentical hormone. Why bioidentical? Because bioidentical means that the chemical structure of the hormone that we are applying or we are taking or we are inserting is the same exact chemical structure as our own. So our body recognizes it as their own. It's not a foreign, it's not a synthetic. So that's what you have to always try to do. If it's cream, if it's patch, make sure that it's always bioidentical. There are some bioidentical hormones from the FDA that we can buy it at the pharmacy. But also bioidentical, we can get it from the pellets. And bioidentical, we can get it from compounded. But always make sure that it's bioidentical.
Someone also asked me last week, are you ever going to be going to the pellets?
Of course. I
Do they
like
really
me
work?
using
They
it or
they
like
really make
me
you,
like
Do they
I'm sorry,
really?
go ahead.
Is that really a good anti-aging? The pellets?
Like the pellets are not a magic bullet for everything, but definitely plays a huge role with how good you feel, like for like decreasing like chronic diseases, for helping you like to have like and continue to have strong bones, to help you with the memory, so many things that the hormones help you, And then why do you choose pellets? I mean, pellets is one of my favorite like ways of like delivering the hormones. Why? Because it keeps like steady levels. So like we're not going like a roller coaster, like up and down, like the old injections from testosterone that it gives you like a huge boost. And then sometimes that boost, like in men, some of men, they love that kind of like being like really hyper and high and great. But also they're gonna crash and burn whenever they're gonna go into the lower part, whenever that's going down. So some people don't like that up and down, and it's better to have like more like steady levels, because whenever you have these peaks and this like going down, like then you feel irritable, you feel great a couple of days and then you feel irritable, like again, like not a lot of energy, kind of brain fog. So we try to make it more stable, and the only way to do that most of the times is with pellets. Of course, pellets are not going to be for everyone. If like someone is more sensitive or someone is afraid of having something inside of them, we're not going to do the pellets. We're going to try to do maybe patches, maybe creams. The only thing you guys have to be careful about is any time that we are replacing estrogen and you still have your womb, you have to take progesterone. And the progesterone, the only way that is going to protect you is if you take it by mouth. Do not only use topical, because that's not going to be enough to protect your endometrium or the lining of your uterus.
You know, we had a person who told us that just by watching your show, that they think you have the best bedside manner. And,
Thank
that's
you.
really a compliment because you hear people
Yes.
go, I don't like my doctor. They talk about their personality. But not only are you a great doctor, but
Thank you,
people
Steve.
can confide in you and feel comfortable with you. That's what I love about your practice.
Thank you, Steve. Like we always try to like make the patient to feel comfortable, because honestly, and probably you can attest this to me, like that whenever you have obesity, it's very difficult sometimes for patients to ask for help. They feel sometimes in the olden days or even nowadays, some doctors, they still think, oh, like it's eat less and exercise more. Nowadays it's changing this, which I'm really happy. Finally they're recognizing that it's a disease. But most of like many doctors, they still like kind of like feel make them feel bad, and they don't want to do anything, like there's like some patients that basically they were traumatized because they were like ashamed, that they were like embarrassed, that because like the doctors, they were making them feel bad about it. And it's a very sensitive subject, like, so I always try to ask the permission basically from the patient, if we can discuss about the weight, because maybe they came and they didn't even want to talk about it because they were thinking, oh, it's another doctor that is going to tell me eat less and exercise more, or like that I need to like do something else. So like I always try to be very respectful, and again, it's a very sensitive um, issue, that we always have to respect that, and ask the permission to see if like we want to discuss the weight or not.
I have a funny story to tell you. Short story. A person that I know that had the pellets done. It's not painful at all, but they said I used to walk like Joe Biden, and once I took the pellet, I am like a completely different person.
Maybe that's what he needs.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
No,
Um,
that's funny.
and you know what I mean because you've seen patients
Yeah, oh,
that
yeah.
have taken the pellets. Now the pellets are good for about what, 3 months? Is that right?
For women, yes. Like for women, we do it every 3 months, and also like it depends on like if you're doing a lot of exercise or if you're going through a lot of stress. You may need like to be a little sooner than the 12 weeks. Like we can do 10 or 11, depending on what you're doing. But most of the times is that. And for guys, it's like around 5 months. And also it depends on your physical activity, your stress, like, so it's around there.
Your office is in the Dallas area. We've heard you've had some really, well, you're in Grapevine, but it's kind of considered Dallas. Um, you've had some really bad weather there.
Yes, like, well, I was blessed that here in the Las Colinas area where my practice is, and I live close by, we didn't really have much of the problems. Like, we still got electricity, thank God, and we didn't have any other problems than other places around. I think in Mansfield it was pretty bad, or the other places that they were hit really hard from the storm.
Well, our prayers go out to them. So, the biggest question, and now we can call it the skinny injection. The biggest question is there one that's better than the other?
And I think I mentioned this before, but I don't call it better than the other. And the analogy that I make is always with the iPhones. Like iPhone 7, it's going to be less potent than the iPhone 10. Like the version. They're
Right,
still going to be
right.
iPhones. They still are really good, but maybe they have a little bit more the 10 than the 7, right? So basically, it's the same. Like for example. Monjaro, which is tersepatide, it's like the newer generation. It has two peptides encapsulated in one instead of only one, and that the Wegovy has. So like it's going to give us a little bit more edge, a little bit more of like the weight loss, because also like the tersepatide, which is Monjaro for diabetics and Zepbound for weight loss, has also the ability to uh, turn on the GIP peptide. This one is the one that is going to decrease the insulin resistance. So it kind of helps a little bit more than only the other one that is going to suppress the appetite, is going to increase your satiety. So this other one helps a tiny bit more. And what I've seen, like in patients with diabetes, that this insulin resistance helps them tremendously, because I had patients that they were on insulin before being on Monjaro. Once I started in Monjaro, I noticed that less, they were using the insulin less and less. And one of my star patients, he stopped his insulin completely, and he was using 90 something units of Toujeo, that's the long acting one, and he was using around 25 units of the rapid acting with meals. And now he's only on Monjaro once a week, and he does any of the SGLT2s, like Farxiga or Jardiance, and that's what he does now. He stopped completely his insulin. He lost, of course, 70 pounds, but he's doing great.
Well, one of the things we're learning now, because one of the questions has been, well, what do you do when you reach your goal and do you just stop taking it? But it looks like you still need to stay on a maintenance program, not every week, but a maintenance program. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like what happens is with these medications, like you cannot just cold turkey say, oh, yes, like I want it to be like at 140. Now I'm 140. I'm stopping everything. That is a big mistake, because what happens is we have to also give your body the chance of, like, if possible, resetting the metabolic set point. Remember, at some point we learned about this, that we said that the metabolic set point is like all of us, we have one. And let's say in your case is like 150, to give you an example. And then if we lost 50 pounds and now we're on 100, if we were not able to reset this or being long enough on this 100, like your body's going to always try to go back and fight you back to get into the 150 again. I mean, that's the metabolic adaptation. But whenever we're able to reset, hopefully, that set point, then your body's going to be like, oh, this is my new weight. I don't have to fight her back to go back to the 150s. And so, how do we do that? So, number one, we try to, at least this is what I do, is I try to increase always the protein intake for my patients, because also this injections can make you lose a little bit more muscle mass than usual. You're always going to lose muscle along with the fatty tissue whenever you're losing weight, but for some reason that we are seeing a little bit more of the weight muscle mass loss with the injection. So more in a protein. The next thing is more resistant exercises to build more muscle. And then, so with this, with the time, we're going to see if, like, once you reach your goal, is we're going to be doing some maintenance, and we're going to lower the dose of that. We're going to see what works for you and where your stable weight maintains, and then, of course, we're going to make sure that we're not going to be in a calorie deficit anymore. We're going to be on a maintenance, and we're going to try to maintain your caloric intake so that you're not going to be losing weight anymore.
Dr. Gambo, our show always goes by so fast, and I always
I
look
know.
forward to our next show. Tell people how they can reach your office.
We are in Las Colinas. We're Elite Care Clinic. The phone number is 469-947-6020. Yeah, like, we're here. Like, I kind of like had to put a little, I would say, pause for like new patients, but we're accepting new patients again in the summer, because since I'm the only doctor, and so it can become like a little like busier. So thank God I'm blessed. But again, like, we're gonna start like receiving like new patients like in August.
You need to get a PA. That's what you need.
A PA or an NP? Yes, I do.
Yes.
I do. Still.
Dr. Gambo, thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
love doing this show with you, and I can't wait till Dr. Gamboa is always the last Wednesday of the month at 4:25. Dr. Gamboa, thank you. Tell Harold hello for us, and we'll
Thank
see
you,
you next
Steve, for
month.
having me as usual, and thanks everyone for listening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Gamboa. She is such a sweetheart, wonderful doctor. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. See you soon. Thank you, Rebel.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.